Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are doing great. The New Year's is around the corner. The year is going to end, so people will be celebrating a lot by bidding farewell to this year. For welcoming the coming year, there will be parties all around at your place, at your friend's place, at people's place, where you'll be visiting, where you will be meeting up with a lot of people. Now, are you one of those people who have trouble striking up a conversation in a room full of people? What I mean to ask is, do you have trouble making small talk? Now you'll ask, what is small talk? I'm sure a lot of you already know what I'm talking about. For all those people who do not have the idea what I'm talking about making small talk. In today's video, I will be telling you about small talk, about how to make better conversations. Now let's learn what is small talk. Now, small talk is a conversation or communication between two people who are willing to talk with each other, but they do not want to get involved into a long and complicated conversation. Now, that is when they talk about things that are unimportant to them. Usually, these kind of conversations are short and quick. That is why it's called small talk. Not just that, it is also called small talk because you make small conversations and the topics are not so important. Now, these are basically icebreakers. What are icebreakers? Icebreakers are basically conversation starters. You start with a phrase or a sentence or some sort of question which will begin a conversation. Now that is what is small talk. Let's learn why we need to make small talk. What are the benefits of making small talk? Now, why do we need to make small talk? The first reason is that it makes the environment or the atmosphere friendly and comfortable. It makes two people comfortable, or in a gathering it makes the atmosphere more friendly and comfortable. Now the second reason is that it boosts your self-confidence. It makes you more confident by beginning a conversation. It helps us to find common ground and share interest between two people. It helps in improving our active listening skills. I have spoken earlier in one of my videos about listening skills. I will link it up here so that you can go and watch more about listening skills. Here I'm just briefly going to point out that listening makes you a better speaker, a better communicator, because when you listen better, you know more about the person and it helps you in making a better conversation. That's why it helps in improving your active listening skills. It breaks barrier. It gives you the strength of overcoming social anxiety or social discomfort. You overcome all these flaws or social fears that you might have. So a conversation starter always helps you in boosting your confidence. So wherever possible, please be the first one to go and talk to people. Be brave, be a leader. These were the benefits of making small talk, the need of making small talk. Now let's learn what are the rules of small talk. Yes, you have certain rules to follow while making small talk so that you can make better small talk. You can have a better conversation without making mistakes. I am not saying that making mistakes is something wrong. It is very human to make mistakes, but it is always better to be prepared for a situation, right? So let's learn these rules of making better small talk. Now the first rule of making small talk is be prepared. Do a little homework. Now, what kind of preparation you think you should do? It's not much. All you have to do is be up to date about latest things happening around the world, about current affairs. Just go through newspaper headlines or news headlines to be aware of what is going around, or have a couple of reviews about good books, or maybe a couple of movies that have been released lately, the reviews about it. So it can be a very good conversation starter. You can begin the small talk. You will have topics to begin a conversation. That's the kind of preparation you need. Now, the second rule is how to greet people the right way, be it in a formal gathering or an informal gathering. You need to know how to greet people. If it's a formal gathering and you don't know most of the people, or some of them are just acquaintances, you shake hands. Now, if it's an informal gathering where you have lots of friends and family around, maybe you can go for a hug or a peck on the cheek. If you know that person, you need to understand that. You need to have the sense of where you have to behave, what kind of body language you're showing, how you're going to greet a person, depending on the type of gathering that you're in. So, learn a bit about how to greet people. I do have a video about how to greet people, so I will link that up here on the I button, so that you can go and watch it, get an idea how to greet people when and where. Now, the third rule is, which is very important, when you're being introduced to people in a gathering, remember their names. At least the least thing that you can remember is their names, because you will be meeting a lot of people. You cannot remember every detail about what they have told you. Maybe they have told you a bit more than just their name. So at least try and remember their name. I know it's not possible to remember everybody's name, remember every stranger's name that you come across, but please try and remember their name. Now, what to do if you actually forgot? First thing that you can do if you've forgotten the name, you can politely just ask that person, "Sir or ma'am, could you just kindly repeat your name? I couldn't get it the first time." Next, if you've forgotten, you could just ask the host who that person was. You've forgotten that person's name. Or you could just ask a friend, or if you've come with your spouse, just ask her or him if they know that person, if they know the name of that person. And last but not the least, if you have actually forgotten, just tell them that I was a bit preoccupied and I've actually forgotten your name. If you don't mind, can you please tell me your name again? These are the ways how you can tackle the situation if you forget their names. But please try and remember people's name. The fourth rule is, don't hold yourself back. Now, what I'm trying to say is, be the first one to begin the conversation. When you're having a conversation with a completely new person, ask them what do they do for a living, or what are their interests. Just ask something, and when you're introducing yourself, tell a bit more about yourself. If somebody has asked you, what do you do for your living, and you say that I'm a doctor, don't just stop there. You could go ahead and say that I'm a doctor, I've been a doctor since these many years at this particular hospital, and you have been earlier worked somewhere else. So what happens is, it gives a bit more information to the person, so that the conversation goes on, it is carried forward. It doesn't just end with a single word answer. So don't hold yourself back. Open up, talk a bit more than what is just asked. It shouldn't be like a yes or no answer. It should be a little bit more than that. So give out a little bit of information. Since it's small talk, don't start talking about where you started your profession. Just a little bit more than saying what you do exactly. Now, the fifth rule is, draw the person out. What that means is, when you are beginning a conversation, you can lead the other person to start talking about themselves. How? Because sometimes, not just sometimes, many a times, People like to talk about themselves a lot. Just give them that chance. They'll start talking about themselves. When they do that, the conversation goes on, so you can carry forward with that conversation. So draw them out, give them something, or just ask them a particular question where they will start talking about themselves. For example, there are two female talking to each other. One asks the another about, where did you get that jewelry? Women love to talk about jewelry. I'm not saying any kind of stereotypical thing here. They can talk about anything in the world they want. What I'm trying to say is, we love to talk. So once someone asks us something, we keep on going. So bring out that conversation from the other person. Draw that person out. That's what it means. Now this rule is a bit interesting and it's quite easy to follow. Now the sixth rule is talk about the setting. Now if you do not have anything to talk about or begin a conversation, talk about the gathering, talk about the food in the party, talk about the host, or talk about the decor, talk about the flower arrangements. It's easier to start up a conversation if that person agrees with you or even disagrees with you. You do start up a conversation. So that's an easy way to begin a conversation if you do not have any idea what you're going to ask or how you're going to begin a conversation with a complete stranger. So this will help you out. Now the seventh rule is to revive a dying conversation or a boring conversation. Now what happens is sometimes the conversation goes on and it just turns into a boring point or it starts dying. So what do you do then? Again, take the lead. Don't wait for the other person to do so. Take the lead and maybe redirect the conversation to a completely new topic, or give that person some time to process what you have talked about. A lot of times what happens is the silence always doesn't mean that person is not interested. Now what happens is sometimes a person takes some time to process what you have told them about, process the information that you have given them. So it is mostly like a transition period. So it is not that long. People take time to move on from one topic to other. It is a good thing to talk with pauses during conversation. The people will understand you better. You don't just go on babbling continuously without giving a break. So it is good to make pauses. Now if you think that the conversation is dying, you can use any of the previous points that I have mentioned to begin the conversation again. That's how you can revive a boring conversation. You can keep going on by starting it in a different direction. Now sometimes it also happens that the person that you're talking to would like to go away from the conversation. If they want, please let them do so. If not, that person is still standing there and is willing to talk but doesn't have anything to talk about, that's when you can start up another topic and start the conversation. I hope you got this point. Now the eighth rule is make proper introductions. Now when you are introducing people or you have been introduced to people, do that properly. If you're introducing your spouse, say the name, your name and her name or his name slowly so that the person understands the name in one go. So introduce yourself properly. And if someone is introducing themselves, if you haven't understood, ask them if they could repeat politely. So you get their introductions properly and you do the same. Make sure that you're introducing everyone with you properly. Now the ninth rule is to avoid unpleasant situations. Now what could be unpleasant situation? Now we are making small talk. We are beginning a conversation with a person. We are trying to know them. So don't talk about topics that could be controversial. For example, politics or religion or some scientific discovery or something of that sort, which could lead to an argument. Now if that happens, the conversation cannot be a good conversation. So you don't want that to happen. You want the first impression to be good. You want the person to remember you for having a good conversation. So avoid these kind of unpleasant topics which might lead to an unpleasant conversation. Now the second situation that you can come across is, you come across a person who might be a bit different and you do not like the conversation that person is making. It is making you uncomfortable. If that person makes you uncomfortable, you need to leave. You need to go away from that place so that you can avoid that person. Now that leads to the next and the last rule of today, which is making a clean escape or making a clean exit. Now how do you do that? First thing that you can do is, you start your sentence with saying I need. How? You will say that I need to get some food, or I need to refresh my drink, or I need to go to the restroom, or I need to find my spouse, or I need to go and talk to the host. So this is how you can say and go out from that conversation. What I'm trying to say is, exit the conversation politely and gracefully. Suppose you have to rush away in an emergency. What do you say? You say that it was really nice talking to you and I hope that we meet again and talk about this further, but I really need to rush right now. It's an emergency. So that's how you can say and you can leave. Or the third way is, you could just take help of your friend or your spouse that you have come with to bail you out from that situation, who can come and rescue you. So these were the 3 ways how you can exit gracefully. Now all of these were the 10 rules that you need to follow if you want to make better conversation. You need to make better small talk. I hope these rules will help you in making better conversations at a party or at a gathering this festive season. I hope this really helps you. In my next video, I will give you few ideas how you can start up a conversation, what topics you can talk about to begin the conversation. Basically, I'll give you some icebreakers that you can use to start up a conversation. With that, I come to an end of this video. I hope you got an idea about what small talk is, why we need to have small talk, why we need to follow these rules to make small talk, is to become better at making conversations, at making better communication everywhere you go. So I hope you start making better small talk. Now with that, I will take your leave for today and I will see you soon in my next video. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and don't forget to keep practicing. Take care and goodbye.